at the end. Can't wait to hear it.
Aw, here we are. We're recording now, Jen.
Oh, okay.
You're live on the Slide podcast. I'm
Welcome
just
back.
kidding. Yeah, welcome back.
It's that easy.
Yeah, it was
right
that
there.
easy. We're back.
See?
So, I am Coach Aaron. I am joined with most of our supporting cast today. So, Allie Lacey joins us from Los Angeles, California. How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm pretty great. A little sunburn from yesterday, so I had to go put the hat back on to cover it. The sunglass tan looks terrible.
Sunburn.
That
I'm
look.
jealous.
Yeah, we don't want to hear any of that stuff.
Sorry.
Bryson, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I think I'm windburned
That's
from
it.
today on the field. So I wish it was sunburned. But
Nah.
yeah, I'm doing good. Other than a little wind today, not the most comfortable day at the ball field for sure.
As Allie's flaunting the sunglasses tan there. Jen,
Yeah,
how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Really
Awesome.
well. Thank you for asking. How are you, Coach Aaron?
I'm tired. I'm excited. I was going to say tired again, but it's
That
been,
shows how tired you are.
I know it. I have to, include it twice. But no, I'm doing great. We have some really cool stuff going on with the Savannah Bananas and big things coming for the show. And as people are listening to this right now, everything will already be out there. So, but yeah, some cool stuff going with the Savannah Bananas, and so we'll see how it goes. But anyway, so we are here today, and we're talking with Rex Graves. So Rex joins us from the upstate of South Carolina, and Rex and I don't know each other outside of just from the baseball world, but as I've grown to ask more questions and to learn more about our local baseball scene, Rex's name continuously comes up. So, I had to reach out to him, get him on the show, and let's talk about baseball. So, Rex, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Awesome.
Like y'all said, windburnt. We were on the actual tennis courts today throwing baseball with our high school. So we weren't able to get on the field with all this rain, and our field does not drain at all. So it'll be tomorrow will be another interesting practice. We just kind of go with the flow right now with the, with the weather, and whenever we can get a pretty day outside, even though the wind's blowing, we got to get out there. So
Are you at a certain school, Rex?
I'm at Eastside High School.
Eastside High School.
Yeah, I've been there.
Eastside. They had how many draft picks do you have this past
Last
baseball
year we
season?
had 2 draft picks. Adam Serenowski, who got drafted by the Reds in the 15th round. I believe he was committed to South Carolina to be down there with Bryson.
yep.
He was
Wow.
he had that opportunity. So with the environment the way it is nowadays, you can't turn down those opportunities. So he's in the Reds organization in Arizona. So I got to see him a couple days ago. Being in Arizona, he doesn't travel back as much as. And then we had Mavis Graves, who's he's my son. So kind of proud dad moment. He was
Yeah.
drafted by the Phillies in the 6th round.
Wow.
And then our senior class was just one of those senior classes that had played together since they were probably 9-10 years old, and we had 10 seniors.
And but you had what, 3 or 4 of them go to Limestone?
Yep, we had 2 go to Limestone.
Okay.
We had 1 that's playing football at Wofford. We've got 2 at USC Sumter. We've got 1 at Mississippi State, David Mershon, he's at Mississippi State, and then we've got 1 at North Greenville, who's Brody Fowler. So the upstate.
It's a good program too.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that program right now.
Yeah.
Landon's doing a great job over there, and a lot of excitement around that program. So we're excited for Brody because he's a big donkey on the mound, and big 6'7".
Is that a
Six,
compliment?
6'7".
That is,
That-
in
that
That
baseball,
is completely a compliment.
you called a big donkey.
Yeah.
That's a compliment. So we were blessed to have 3 big donkeys on the mound last year for our state championship team.
All right, Allie, I got to ask. You're in Los Angeles, California. Do you know what that means? Big donkey on the mound?
We call them workhorses.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, now I've heard that.
That makes a little
before.
more sense.
I've heard that
That
before.
makes it a little more
That's
sense.
funny.
I guess in the upstate of South Carolina, we go to the donkey side of it. So,
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know how many
and-
donkeys we have in Los Angeles. So
Well, see, you
I
got to get them all
actually,
put to work.
right.
apparently.
I have 2 good buddies that play in North Greenville, and I was hanging out with them over Christmas break, and they mentioned the kid you were talking about from Eastside, and they were telling me how good he was this fall and how, I mean, he's going to probably make an impact on a team that's going to be preseason one or is preseason one in the country for Division II baseball. So, yeah,
he's battle tested. I mean, he was our number one last year going into, AC Flora, which is a big powerhouse here in South Carolina, to go in there. And we were in the Upstate Championship and had to beat them twice at their place, which is really, really tough to do because Coach Hallett does a great job with the AC Flora program. So to go down there and, gosh, we had to beat them twice in the same day. So it was a doubleheader. First game, 11 innings, Brody threw, I think 8 innings of that 11. And it was, I think when we won that game 7-2, but when he came out, it was 1-1. It was, he's battle tested. So, for him to be able to go up there and make an impact as a freshman, we're excited for him. So,
well, before we get like all into all this stuff, like obviously that right there and what you just said is a little piece of your resume, I would have to assume. So, like, where did you find your love for the game? Like, how did you get involved, and how did, was coaching like something that you grew to love, or you just knew it right away?
So I played baseball at Cumberland University in the early 90s for Coach Woody Hunt, NAIA program. Back in the day, we had gone to several World Series, and after I left in the late 2000s, they won a couple World Series, the NAIA level. But he was my mentor. It was one of those programs that just had a great culture. It was one of those programs to where, the alumni would come back every year. I mean, they had an alumni baseball game. There'd be 40 to 50 alumni coming back. So, for him to just kind of create that love for the game, not just about the game, but about the relationships that the game brings you. That's what, really taught me that I wanted to give back.
Right.
Because it's more about the people and it's more about the relationships than it is about the game. I mean, the game's great, it's the greatest game out there. But, if you can take that game and fuel that passion in a young child, and them just understand that, it's about the relationships and about the fun in the game and about, just going out and laughing and giggling, competing with your buddies. I mean, that's what we had last year at Eastside, which was really cool to see, because that's what we as coaches, always want to see is the guys competing with each other and having a really true relationship with each other. So, right. When I left Cumberland University, I went to Charleston Southern for a year, and did some graduate work and was an assistant coach at Charleston Southern. Then things kind of took me a different route. I wanted to start a family. It was kind of hard, coaching at that level, to try and start a family. I was, recruiting back in the day. We didn't have, the perfect games and all the websites that you could go to and you could kind of figure out where you wanted to go. I mean, I was going up to West Virginia to recruit the Beast of the East and on the back roads and, by myself and in a roadway in. I'm like, man, is this what I really want to do? So I kind of got out of it, got in the restaurant business. But then when Mavis, my oldest son, started playing, I started getting back in. He started playing wee ball at 3 and then started coaching him. And then that's when it started fueling the passion of, just coaching. I always ran my restaurant kind of as a coach too. It's just, again, we're in the people business. We're not in any other business other than the people business.
That's right.
It's all about the people. So
that's pretty awesome. I mean, and now you're not just involved with just the Eastside High School. No, you coach a couple more teams too, don't you?
So I'm co-owner of 17 Co Baseball Performance Center over in Taylor's. It's a little 10,000 square foot facility that we have that we train from. I mean, we have, I think our youngest right now is 6, all the way up to college pro guys that come in. So we have that, but then we started up a USA Prom of South Carolina to kind of create the environment for kids to, really love the game of baseball, but also understand that the development side of it needs to be there as well.
Right.
Because you have a lot of show and go guys right now in the environment of, middle school up to high school, to where they're not getting developed on the field when it comes to the practice time that they need, and just the understanding and we're really trying to drive the baseball IQ.
Right.
And then I coach a 10U team in the spring, so I'm balancing the high school and then the 10U stuff. So the 10U thing, I was with a different organization and they were like, man, we only have 8 kids for this 11U team. They're not going to be very good, but we're going to, I think we're just going to let them go. And I said, man, let me have that team. I'll take that team. I mean, at high school level, college level, you have expectations. Winning's the expectation. At 10U level, you don't have expectations. The expectation for me at 10U level is to have fun, really fall in love with the game and really teach the game and educate parents on, how the game should be coached, on my end as a coach, protecting arms, teaching guys, really developing pitchers, go into some of these tournaments, and these guys have four main pitchers, and you see them throw 120 pitches a weekend. And I'm like, yes, not okay. Yeah. So, we really drive the development side of it and just having fun. I mean, like at 17 Co right now, we're doing a hit where they hit off the machine. We use hit tracks and they play games against each other. And I mean, yesterday we had 5, so we got 10 teams in the league. We played 5 games yesterday, and we were 3 hours past the time we were supposed to end because these dudes were smashing baseballs. So I had to send out an apology email this morning to tell parents I apologize. But
I've started to see that. Yeah, I've started to see that more and more of these hit track leagues, and this different competitive like virtual baseball. That's pretty interesting because I'll watch a lot of live streams at batting cages and stuff, and that's what I'm watching is them coming up to bat, and
Right.
That's pretty awesome.
The funny thing is to watch them when they go to finish their swing and all of a sudden their head turns around to look at the TV.
Yeah.
Our high school division, we had PBR involved, and PBR was coming in and getting some bios on the guy, which PBR is Prep Baseball Report here in South Carolina.
Oh, I'm thinking Pat Blue Ribbon, but okay.
Yeah,
Same.
Right.
I was
Probably
like,
the cold beer I got sitting up here on the
Allie, were you thinking that too?
she said she
For
was.
sure.
Oh, okay. Well, I knew. I
Either
think
that
I
or
knew.
professional bull riding.
That's
Right.
yeah, that was my
Yeah.
next thought.
We had that.
But I
here
don't think
last
we're riding
weekend.
bulls.
Right. So, but it's
Donkeys.
kind of funny because when they finish their swing, they're looking at the TV. My 15-year-old, my youngest son, he's really bad at it. I'm like, dude, we don't have any videos we can even put out on you because you're just like yanking your head while you just hit the baseball. So
That's right. Watch the ball first.
right. It's pretty funny. So no, but it's fun, man, to get them in a competitive nature, especially this time of year. It's usually 3 or 4 on a team, and they get after it. It's a lot of fun.
That's fun. That's interactive. That's good video games. That's where you're getting in there and you're actually putting in some work.
Right.
So, Allie, what questions you got from Mr. Graves here?
Well, speaking of the donkeys on the mound, is it still called the bullpen?
It is called the bullpen.
Okay, just making sure we didn't out that one.
Maybe we need to
Keeping that.
rename it though.
It should be the
We'll wait on that one.
yeah, we'll have to come up with something good.
Yeah, we might have to, because this is no joke. Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna totally sidetrack this whole thing, but you know how like NFL playoffs are always called like in the hunt. The teams are in the hunt.
Yeah.
All right, so about 6 weeks ago, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are on the broadcast, and Troy Aikman says, "Why do they call it in the hunt?" And Joe Buck was like, "I don't know. We need to rename that." So if you watch an NFL broadcast now where those two, I think it's Sunday Night Football, it's now called Sniffing Around because they renamed it. Swear. Yep. Go look it up. Sniffing around.
Oh,
These
sniffing.
teams are sniffing around.
Sniffing
the
around.
playoffs. Yep. Anyway.
So it's the teams that are on the fence, like they haven't
Right.
made it into the playoffs,
Right.
but they're not out. It's
Instead
in
of-
the hunt. That
yeah.
makes no sense.
I don't know,
Well,
man. I think in the hunt sounds a little better for football. Sniffing around is a little.
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds a little sketchy, but
Yeah,
go ahead, Allie. See, sometimes we just sidebar completely. I do. I'm sorry. I do. Go right
No,
ahead.
you're good. You're good. I mean, you said you have 2 sons, right? They both play
I do.
baseball.
I do.
So
my other one's fit. So Mavis Graves, he got drafted this past year. Had a really good year. He was committed to play baseball at Clemson. And then when Monty Lee was let go at Clemson, he also had a really good year. So he was going to Clemson as a pitcher. His senior year, he had a really good year at the plate. So he was like, man, I might want to do this 2-way thing if I can find somebody. So he decommitted from Clemson, then was going to go to Spartanburg Methodist Community College, which is a junior college here locally.
Yep.
He was going to go there in 2-way. but then he got drafted. So that was kind of, the whole draft. He's not a classroom kid. He was, he was good in the classroom because he had to be eligible to play. But he just was like, that was the conversation we had. Do you want to go, get beat up on and having to get a 3.0 in the classroom and have to deal with, the stress of playing college athletics, or, if you have the opportunity to get drafted. So he made the decision to go ahead and get drafted. So he's doing that. And 15-year-old, he's a sophomore at Eastside. So he played JV last year. He's got an opportunity, hopefully, to play varsity this year. He puts in a lot of work. So he's Mavis is a full-blown lefty, throws at lefty, swings at lefty, and then Gregory is a righty that swings at lefty. So.
And he's a pitcher as well, your younger one?
He hates pitching. He's really good at it, but he just does not like it. So he'll
Oh man.
He'll probably be a closer. I mean, when he just doesn't like the whole having to, the whole everything that goes with pitching, having to get loose, having to get in the bullpen, and he'd rather just, hey, call me from the outfield, run up there and let me just throw the baseball as hard as I can type thing.
Wild thing.
Yeah.
Charlie Sheen. Go ahead, Allie.
No, Charlie Sheen. That Wild Thing's a fun one. Didn't they just change? What's his name? Just changed his number to match Wild
Yeah.
Thing too.
Yes, he did. I saw that, and I can't remember who it was.
Braves.
Yes. I'll have to look that one up. Go ahead and ask your question.
Spencer Strider.
That's it. Strider.
Yeah, Strider changed his name changed his number to Wild Thing.
There it is. There. I mean, that'll be fun to watch. It's the kids will get back into watching Wild Thing, I think. But as far as your boys, you say you coach for the love of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have to push your boys into baseball, or did they fall in love naturally? And then did they ever find a point where they wanted to leave and you had to kind of keep them there?
They fell in love naturally. I wasn't the guy that ever pushed them. If they wanted to get up and be a 14-year-old kid that day, then they were going to be a 14-year-old kid. Mavis loves to hunt and fish and, hang out with his buddies and all that kind of stuff. And, we always had a discussion with, hey, if you take a day off, somebody's getting ahead of you. But I wasn't that guy that was going and saying, hey, look, you need to go do this thing because, I've already had my career was over, so I was just there to support them. I'd give them information and we'd have conversations on, what are your dreams and goals every year? We would set dreams and goals, or they would, and then we would have that conversation about, hey, you need to make sure that you're driving yourself towards those dreams and goals. But if there was a weekend that he didn't, just wanted to go be a 15-year-old, I mean, there was a couple times when he just didn't go to tournaments. I mean, as bad as it was, I wasn't going to push him to, hey, if you don't want to play this weekend, man, just don't play type thing.
Yeah.
But that was early when he was like 13, 14. He's competitive in nature. So anything that is going to be competitive, he's going to want to go do it. And Gregory's the same way. I mean, they both played baseball at Northwood Little League, which is a really big little league here in the upstate. And they've gone to, to the Little League regionals, which is in Southeast, which is in Warner Robins. So they both have done that. They've played baseball at a high level, so they kind of understood at a young age what it would take because they were always playing against some of the nation's best.
Yeah.
But I was never that guy. Like when we would ride to games or, come home from games in the car, we never talked baseball.
That's what I was going to ask you. What was the right? Jen and I always ask that question because
we just never talked baseball. Like Mavis he was a sleeper in the car, so he'd fall asleep. Like, so we go to Diamond Prospects, the Palmetto Games, which is a big, Diamond Prospects is a big recruiting database here in Greenville that kind of pushes some games, and they have all kinds of different invite only stuff. And so Palmetto Games was Mavis's junior year was in August down in Sumter. And he had a really good showing. It was COVID year, so nobody could come see him. That was like Division I. But it was the first time that Monty Lee was able to see him pitch from a live stream. So when he pitched, he had a really good outing. He had 2 innings, and so all of a sudden, phone starts blowing up. College of Charleston offers, Clemson offers, and so he committed driving down 20 back to the upstate, and he talks to Coach Lee on speakerphone. He commits, and then he falls asleep. Then he wakes up and he's like, Dad, I got 450 new followers on Instagram.
Really?
Oh, that's cool, dude.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his, but
Put that on your resume. There you go.
right. But I mean, in the car rides, we don't ever talk baseball. I mean, if they bring it up, then we'll have a discussion. But a lot of guys, like when we were playing, for big games in high school, a lot of guys, hey, how's Mavis today? I mean, he's Mavis. We don't talk about, baseball.
That's awesome.
So it was, in our household, we don't ever talk about baseball. My wife she has no clue about baseball. I mean, she calls it points and, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome.
How many points did you score? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I love it.
So what was the roller coaster like of going through the draft? I mean, there's a lot of rounds in the MLB draft. So if he went 6, he came off the board early.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got him an advisor, early, it was probably December of his senior year before going into his, into the spring of the season. So we got that. So, you start going through all of that, and then you get the questionnaires from all the teams. And so you start answering those. I mean, it's crazy. Some of the questions that they ask, some of the questionnaires are like 60 questions, and then some of them are 4. And they ask some random questions. Like one of them was, do you put your socks on before you put your shoes, or do you put your sock and shoe on at one foot? And and
they say that's like a personality thing.
Right.
Like only psychos do sock, shoe.
Right. And then they asked about the grocery cart thing, and he ain't never grocery shopping. They're like, do you put your cart back? Put your cart back, or do you leave it sitting there? And he's like, I said, you put your cart back. He's never been grocery shopping. So, they're like, and so he's like, Dad, do I put the grocery cart back? And I said, yes, you will be a grocery cart backer. Putting backer up.
Put her backer. Yeah.
So, that was kind of interesting to get through the questionnaires. And then we'd have practices, and, having the guys that we had on the field. I mean, David Mershon's shortstop at Mississippi State. I mean, he was drafted. He was going to be a draft eligible guy. Brody Fowler, who's at North Greenville now, we had scouts showing up to practice, wanting us to change practices, so they could see these guys throw. And we're like, dude, we're not doing all this. But then when it came around draft day, they come out and they say, hey, he's going to be drafted within the 4th and, 8th round or whatever it is. So, that's when you started doing the thing. That's when you started realizing it was kind of real. But then when he got selected to go to the Major League Baseball Combine, which was out in San Diego. But our season had gone all the way until like June 3rd was our final game for our state championship. And I think they were going to fly out like the next week, and he had already thrown like 90 plus innings. So he wasn't going to throw in the combine. He was just going to go, and they were like, well, he needs to go do the interview process. And I said, well, apparently you've never talked to him, because he's a yes, sir, no ma'am type of guy. And that's all you'll get from him. Like, he's not excited, to talk to. I mean, he is just, and they're like, well, he'd like the trip to San Diego. And I'm like, he's not a bells and whistles guy. Like, he literally likes to show up and play baseball with his buddies, eye black up, and get after it. Like, he's not a guy that he could care less about any of that stuff.
He don't want to play the social game.
No. So,
yeah.
So we had to decline, and they were like, well, he'll get his medicals. And I'm like, well, can he not do his medicals here in Greenville? Because first off, I wasn't, all that excited about sending an 18-year-old kid, to San Diego, California, that's never really traveled on his own.
Allie didn't like that. Allie thinks
there's a lot to do in San Diego.
A
lot to do in a good way. A lot to do in a hard sun way.
But Mom putting the 18-year-old boy on the, to fly him over there was just not, and he wasn't too thrilled about it. Just winning the state championship. He was wanting kind of a breather too. He went on a little vacation with some buddies, so he kind of, go be an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And then when it came down to draft day, we knew he wasn't going to go first and second round. So Sunday wasn't a big deal for us to watch TV, but we watched it because he had some buddies that he's played with that got drafted, first and second round. And then
that's cool.
Sunday night, then his agent calls me Sunday night, and he's like, all right, be prepared. He's going to probably go today. But keep your phone close to you. Make sure Mavis is around you so we can, make some decisions type stuff. Well, then Mavis calls me Monday morning. He's like, Dad, can I have a watch party? I'm like, dude, you can have these people over to the house if you want, but you ain't guaranteed going today. Long day at the house.
Yeah.
So that was so he got all his buddies over there, and we had about 30 people in the living room, and we got a phone call. His agent called me. It was like 6 picks before he got drafted. He's like, hey, Phillies want him this round. And I'm like, okay. Phillies are like 5 picks away. And he's like, well, they need to know if he's going to take it. And I'm like, Mavis, you want to get drafted by the Phillies in the 6th round? And he's like, huh? And I said, come out here. So we have a discussion out on the front porch. I mean, time's ticking. And I'm like, dude, Phillies are going to take you. This is the money they're going to give you. Do you want to go? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, that's the decision. So I call his agent back. And I said, all right, he's ready to go. And he said, okay. He said, let me call back real quick. And I think they were like 3rd pick again. They had like 3 picks. I mean, it's still ticking. And so then the Phillies are about up. They're the next pick on the ticker up top of the TV. And
I bet your heart's going crazy.
Yeah. So we hadn't told anybody yet in the house. They kind of figured it out with us standing out front or whatever. And the agent calls me, and the Phillies are the next pick. And I'm like, Oren, dude, he's about to get drafted. Can I call you right back, man? Like, oh, yeah. So I hang the phone up, and then he gets drafted. And so then we take pictures, and, we pause the TV where it says Mavis Graves drafted. And then he goes, and so everybody takes pictures, and they're all like, all right, we're going to the mall to buy all the Phillies hats. Like, all right, that's cool. So then they all leave, and I'm there at the house by myself. And I'm like, dude, this is like surreal. Like,
yeah. I bet.
It just got drafted. The agent calls me and says, hey, they're wanting to fly out Wednesday to Philly for medicals and, all that stuff. And he went to a game, and, and then we had a USA Prom, our organization, we had a tryout at Greer High School for our fall teams. I go out there, and I'm on cloud 9, and I'm like, dude, I can't be out here, man. I can't, so it was cool. It was a cool experience. And, and it was, so then he flew out Wednesday, and they said, pack your bags till December. And we were like, what's that look like? And,
yeah.
I remember, because I think that's, you and I were like messaging, I think right after it happened, you're like, yep, they're shipping him off to Clearwater now. Yeah. So, and, and he's about to go up the escalator to get on the, to get on his flight. And I'm like, do you need anything else? And he's like, oh man, I forgot my Xbox. I said, dude, your Xbox ain't gonna.
You can buy a new one.
I know. I said, it's not going to survive the plane flight. I said, do you have your glove? Like,
right. Priorities here, buddy.
He's like, I don't have my glove. And so I had to call a buddy.
What?
Yeah, Gregory, my 15-year-old, was at the house. So I called a buddy who was like a mile from our house, because we don't live but like 5 miles from the airport.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, dude, can you run by my house? Gregory's going to run Mavis's glove out to you and bring it to me ASAP. And so thank goodness we got his glove. And,
All right. So we got to write this down, because Rex, at some point in time, we're going to have to get Mavis on the show.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to talk to him about that. He forgot his glove when he was flying out.
He forgot his Xbox. He forgot his glove. What did he pack?
Yeah.
Well, socks.
He has no clue what he had. He was thankful that she packed, underwear, clean underwear, and, socks.
Oh, yeah.
Toothbrush. I hope he had a toothbrush.
Look, I don't care. I'm going to make an excuse for him, because this kid is living the dream right now. Mm-hmm. So, I'll give him a pass. Tell him we'll give him a pass, Rex.
Right. His first week was a little rough, and I'm like, dude, he's like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm like, you ain't got no choice now, buddy. But I said, what do you need to be successful? And he said, I need my car and my Xbox. And I said, all right,
car.
Yeah, give me 2 days, and we'll drive your car down to you and your Xbox. So I had his Xbox in the passenger seat, and I drove his Jeep down to him. So
what? Tell me what he was having trouble with. Like, what kind of struggles was he feeling that first couple weeks?
So with him being 18, first time away from home, the guys that he played with in high school were those guys that you want to play with. I mean, they had a great relationship. They'd go to the gym together. They'd eat together. I mean, they were together 24/7. I mean, the only time they weren't together was when they were sleeping, but sometimes they'd be, hanging out. I mean, I'd wake up in the morning. I have 6 of them over here at my house, all over the place. So, that was kind of the struggle. And then, just the cultural struggle that he had. I mean, he went down there and they had the Dominican team over. So, he was the minority at that point in time, being 18 years old, not knowing anybody. Most of the guys right now that they're drafting seem to be a little bit older because of the COVID years and stuff like that. So you've got 24, 25-year-old guys. His first roommate was 25 years old, drafted in the 5th round as a pitcher from South Florida. So there was kind of a disconnect, with him. Again, he's a relationship kid. Like he loves to play baseball for the relationships and to be able to just compete with his buddies. And I think that's where he struggled. Everybody that he knew was still at the house, getting ready to go off to college, but he was down there now in a job, and
he had a job. Yeah.
So, it was tough for him the first couple of weeks, but he ended up doing well, and they've invited him to all kinds of stuff. So he's done all the strength camps. I mean, heck, they put 30 pounds on him.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah. So he was drafted at 198 and he's now 227. So,
now, do you consider him a big donkey?
He is a big donkey.
Okay.
I probably wouldn't call that around his mom, but
a workhorse around his mom.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
Mom, so yeah.
Bryson, does that sound like when you went off to school? Leaving home for the first time?
Yeah, my first semester of college was miserable. I mean, I hated it. I wanted to come home every day. Like, obviously, with me being in Columbia, being from Spartanburg, it was a Tuesday night. I just got my grade back for the first college exam ever. I flunked it. I got in my car and I drove home. And I got home and I said, I'm not going back. And then the next morning at 8:00, my dad woke me up and said, you have class at 10. You better be on the road soon. I said, okay.
Yeah.
So I went back down to Columbia,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't even, I mean, that's such a normal thing. That is such a normal thing. College or anytime, like a lot of my buddies were the same way too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough.
You hear these kids getting drafted and like they automatically go into we automatically put them in a different class. Like they go from
100%.
a high school kid and now you're MLB. So now we expect you to be something that you're not yet. And
we have guys that come back to Columbia after they get drafted and talk about how they're the same way. And they have to be in college for 3 years before they can be drafted. So if you're at the Division I or JUCO is different, but at the Division I level, whatever. So
NCAA,
they'll come back. Yeah, NCAA. Yeah. So they'll come back and they'll be like, yeah, dude, I first got out there, and a lot of the same stories that you just gave are the stories they all give, and they're 3 years older than him at minimum. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a very common thing, and it's tough because it's all of a sudden, hey, you have a job that you have to do. You're around a lot of guys you don't know. You build all these relationships and you grow up playing with these guys. And then in college, even if you get drafted out of college, you become best friends with these guys over 3 years because you do everything together. Like you were saying, even like the high school guys. So it's just a whole different ball game. I mean, it's crazy how different it is, but it's definitely, I hear stories all the time about how different it is. So what was your relationship like with Coach Bonnie Lee and his whole the time he was committed to Clemson? What was your relationship with him like? You and your family,
great guys,
obviously.
Monty was one of those guys. I always tell my athletes, make sure you go somewhere that's going to make you a better man, not just a better baseball player. And Monty Lee was that guy that I knew when Mavis would go and play in his program, that he would not only be a better baseball player, but he would be a better man. And that's the biggest thing is you want guys that are going to, be able to mentor these young athletes, especially right now in the environment that's going on, with the transfer portal and, all this stuff. I mean, you've got to be extremely polished to be able to go compete at the high, Power 5 schools in NCAA right now. You know, and when we say polished, everybody thinks that you've got to be polished physically and be able to compete at the game, but they forget about the mental side of it.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that's the tough thing. That's what scares me about, you know, maybe being 19 now and still being it's a man's game, you know, and not understanding the mental side of it. But, you know, I think Bonnie would be the guy that not only would teach Mavis, you know, baseball, but also, you know, he would walk the streets as a better man and be respectful, and, you know, all those things that a parent wants, you know, from a guy that's leading their son or daughter. You know,
Yeah, I completely second everything you're saying, because now obviously Monty's our hitting coach and associate head coach type deal here at South Carolina.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, great dude, one of the best dudes I've ever met. He really has left his imprint on the program in the matter of only being here 6 months ish
Right.
so far. Yeah, I agree with you 100% with that. He's a stand-up human being, and he makes you better on the field and off the field, like you're saying.
I was glad to see that he stayed in the college in the college role. You know, when he came over to South Carolina. You know, I'm a Clemson guy, but again, when Clemson and South Carolina, you know, when they're doing well at all levels, you know, it makes the state better.
Always.
You know, so and again, I just know the type of person that Monty is, and I'm just glad that he's able to mentor, you know, young men, and be able to really grow them and that kind of thing. So you know, he's just a good dude.
Awesome. Jen,
Yeah,
Allie,
I think
yeah.
I want to say, like, that's probably a conversation that I need to have with my dad. Like, what were you thinking when I was barely 18 years old? And I didn't go far from home either, Bryson. You know, I mean, but like, were you nervous that I was going to do okay? You hadn't met my coach any more than I had, because the coach that I got recruited by moved schools during the summer between my senior year in high school and my freshman year in college. So I didn't even play for the same coach that I was recruited by. So, like, I don't know, like, that's just not a conversation that I've ever had with my parents, but it would be interesting to know, like, you know, were you thinking that they were going to make me into a better person? Kind of like Red.
Nope, just get out. Just get out.
Bye-bye.
When's it done?
Don't come back.
I think it speaks volumes of Coach Hunt, Coach Woody Hunt, who I played for at NAIA. I mean, I think he really instilled that in me as a person, you know, to be able to kind of look into, you know, the guys that are going to mentor and lead, you know, my sons and daughters, you know, so I want to make sure that they're going to have somebody that can really, you know, teach them about life and stuff. And that's what, you know, like right now I'm nervous about Mavis because he doesn't speak, you know, he doesn't talk. He's always been that kid that's just quiet. So, you know, trying to make sure, that's why I got all excited today. I was able to put my eyes on his face and, you know, kind of see where he's at, and, you know, and just knowing that guys the Phillies have a great reputation when it comes down to their minor league system and their coaches and stuff like that. So to kind of know, you know, some guys that have walked his path in the Phillies organization over the last few years, it's kind of, you know, as a parent, it kind of gives me a little relief.
No, I could tell when we first hopped on, like, you were definitely excited because you just got off the phone with him. So, and that's like, it was obvious how excited, and that's so cool to see a dad, you know, that excited to talk and hear from their son, because when they're here, sometimes we just take advantage of how much time we have with them. So
that's right. So,
but Allie, any final questions?
I mean, for the college thing, my mom dropped me off in college in Hawaii for a semester and just said, "Peace out, I'm going on vacation." So
hold on.
Where'd you go?
Yeah, I went from California to Hawaii Hilo. It's a Division II school. I actually didn't want to play ball going into college. I had lost my coach my senior year, so I kind of wanted to take some time away. Got out to the island, didn't bring my glove with me, and ended up having my friend ship my glove out there to me because I wanted to try out the second I got there. But yeah, my mom just said, "Have fun. We're going on vacation," and peaced out. But you said the Phillies minor league. Scary. I don't know.
That would be scary for me, just because as a parent, I'd have to jump on a plane. You know, planes don't scare me, but again, like, it's easy to jump in a car and just drive down to Clearwater right now if something were to happen. But like you being in Hawaii, like you have to book flights and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that would kind of freak me out as a parent.
Well, Allie, listen, at least how was Hawaii?
It was great. I mean, practice almost on the bay, on the beach a lot of the time. We did like rowing for team conditioning. Can't complain.
Oh, yeah. Well, please don't. Like you said Hawaii first.
I
So,
mean,
like, Bryson, like, come on. I wish my
Oh
mom had
my.
just been like, hey, we're going to take you to Hawaii and we're just going to peace out. And
yeah,
like,
like
we'll call you.
my team conditioning growing up, and even our team conditioning here at South Carolina. Obviously, it's different here.
It's not
There's
Hawaii.
not as much like team conditioning, but like team conditioning in high school. I mean, we heard go to 310 and we started running poles. I mean, we're talking about rowing on the water here. Like, oh my gosh.
I mean, we're still running. Don't get me wrong. There's the punishment. And
Well, obviously, yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't easy, but still, when you got done with practice, you were still in Hawaii. So,
oh yeah. I mean, I was lucky that I would just like go down to the bay. I lived in the dorms, which I didn't have to worry about a lease on an apartment. And that's something I was going to ask you is your son being so young, him going and signing in the minors with the Phillies, you know, has he ever had a lease on a place? Does he have to sign a lease? Has he ever had a debit or credit card? Like,
so he has. So thankfully nowadays they have the smartphones and you have Venmo and you have all that kind of stuff. So you know, his mom takes good care of him needing money. But now he's good on his own. You know, so the lockout a few years ago from Major League Baseball, one of the big requirements was that ownership had to pay. They have to pay for room and board for the minor league baseball players. So he gets fed four meals a day. You know, they take care of his supplements and they take care of his. He's in a 3-bedroom apartment by himself. He's got 2 other roommates, but he has his own room. You know, whereas my co-owner, John Nestor, who played at Clemson and then was in the San Diego Station, you know, we're talking and he's like, when Mavis is in town, he's like, dude, you don't even know. We had 8 guys living in a 2-bedroom apartment and, you know, and we've got Daniel Gossett at our facility right now. He played at Clemson as well. He's from Burns High School, but they kind of share the nightmare stories with Mavis and kind of like, you know, hey, you don't know how good you have it right now because you know, they do feed them. They work Monday through Saturday, so they supply meals for them that day. But again, their pay for minor league baseball is not good. But if you take into consideration that he's in Clearwater, Florida, and they're paying for his apartment and for his food, I don't know how the guys did it back in the day. I mean, honestly, I don't know, you know, with what he's getting paid. I mean, you know, he signed for his signing bonus, which is, you know, good money for an 18-year-old kid, you know, and so we're trying to be smart. We're trying to make him to understand and be smart with that. But he did go out and buy him a truck, and he was able to sign on the truck by himself.
There you go.
When they found out he was playing for the Phillies, that, you know, so everybody got all, you know like,
see, that's when they start donating stuff to you.
I know. I'm like, dude, can you just run him out there and do a commercial and just give him the truck?
Right.
Well, he skipped college, so no NIL, right?
No NIL, you know, but he's I mean, that's the stuff. Like, you know, again, his mom has always, you know, done everything for him and, you know, that kind of stuff. So when he went away, it was like, uh-oh, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, didn't even know how to watch. So this is a funny story. So so the first place that he had to stay was the La Quinta Inn and Suites.
Oh, okay. They put him up in the big one.
Yeah, like a half a mile from their facility. And so he started budgeting. He started understanding what money costs. So that, you know, it's like $30. They'll take care of your laundry. And he's like, heck, I can do it for $2 at La Quinta Inn and Suites. So here he is thinking smart about his money.
Yeah.
He goes down there and he's washing his clothes and he puts his clothes in, you know, in a dryer. Well, come to find out, he goes back down there to check on him and it's another washer that he took his clothes and put in. He's like, but it looked like a dryer. Like, dude, did you
did it?
I mean, not have to put a timer on it or something? Like what are we doing here? So yeah, he's still, you know, he's still learning life lessons a little bit, but now FaceTime
comes in handy, I'm sure.
Do what?
Yeah.
FaceTime comes in handy, I'm sure.
Yeah,
With
it
Oh
does.
yeah.
Right now, my 15-year-old is not enjoying it because he's learning how to wash clothes now, and he's having to, we did really bad with Mavis, so you're going to learn life skills now before you go off.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm sure the
Second-born.
15-year-old's thinking, my gosh, you did really good for him. I'm the one getting
I
screwed
know.
over here.
He got drafted, and I'm getting punished.
And then
He's got to put his shopping carts back.
right. My 11-year-old, she's like, she just goes with the punches, and she's like, I already know how to wash clothes. I know how to do it. And I'm like, yeah, that's the girl in you.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the difference.
The females run the household. We know that. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
long as
awesome.
you know.
Well, Rex, man, thank you very much for hanging out with us a little bit tonight. We got one last question. We always ask every one of our guests, and so you have to show up with us. So if you're stepping up to bat today, all right, super important question. What would be your walkout song?
Gosh, I have no clue.
Or best dad joke.
I can't remember dad joke. I'd have to look at my phone. Shoot, I don't even know.
This is the question that stumps most of our guests.
Yeah, it stumps everybody.
Yeah.
So 2019, we had this song was our team song. Shoot, it was the Cowboy. What was the what is
Kid
it?
Rock.
No, that's not 19.
That'd be a good one. It was the rapper that was the big song.
Lil Nas
yes,
X.
Lil Nas X. That was our team song, and that may
Okay. Old Town Road.
Old Town Road.
With Billy Ray Cyrus.
Billy Ray Cyrus
Okay.
and Lil Nas X. So we won state championship in 2019. And that was our team song. And I mean, I would have to. So that's probably what I would walk out to. Yeah, that was crazy. During BP practice, that song came on. We'd all go bananas, and so I'd probably have to play tribute to that 2019 team. So.
All right. I would have never picked that one for you, but hey, that's what makes it all unique. So
Right.
Awesome. Well, Rex, thank you very much, sir. Hey, if we want to find you online, find more about what you're doing in the upstate, how can we find that information?
Go to 17co.co is our business, our facility. And then USA Prom, South Carolina, that's our group, and we're growing. We've added a couple young teams, couple youth teams.
And where do you guys start? What's your age groups?
We've got 10U, 11U, 12U, all the way up to 17U right now.
Okay.
And then our training facility, we train anybody that wants to come in and learn how to have fun with baseball and get better. So
sweet. Well, awesome, sir. Well, thank you very much. And rest of the
Thank you.
Well, and until next time, Jenn.
We will catch you on the slide.